they've done so well in Test cricket in the past 5 years, right? 6 years. Where did that start, and why do you think that is? For one, I think it's because of the pacers who've come along, and there's a nice, well-rounded pace battery now.
Yeah.
What do you think about that?
Look, I think New Zealand's actually always had pretty good quick bowlers. I mean, you go back. I mean, obviously from Hadley, you had Danny Morrison that came in after him. He was statistically not a great bowler, but when you watched him, he was an outstanding bowler. And then you had Chris Cairns, Daryl Tuffy. You've got guys that have just been genuinely really good bowlers. Chris Martin. And this group that we've got now is probably better, and they've all come through together, which is helpful. You know, they're all about the same age, which means that we're going to have a drop off at some point soon. But that's been helpful. But I think the big thing that's different is the batting. Traditionally, New Zealand haven't had quality batsmen. You know, you say, yeah, we've had Bert Sutcliffe and Glenn Turner and Martin Crowe, but there was big gaps between them. And we've never had, you know, we had Martin Crowe, John Wright, and Andrew Jones together. But John Wright still averaged 37 or something in Test cricket. Yeah, he wasn't statistically he wasn't a great batsman. Whereas now we've got Kane Williamson, who's averaging in the 50s, Ross Taylor, who's mid to high 40s, which is pretty much unheard of in New Zealand historically. And then you've got also Tom Latham, you've got Henry Nichols. I think at the moment, the Colin de Grandhomme would be the second highest averaging batsman in England, and he's the 8th highest averaging batsman in New Zealand.
Wow.
Now that you would never have been able to say that in the past. So I think the batting's been a bigger thing. But if you ask where success started, I think there's been 3 key points. The first was when New Zealand cricket moved to having 2 rounds of the Plunket Shield, and so the players started playing more first-class cricket. The second one was when they standardised the groundsman and made the groundsman really accountable, and so they changed how the wickets were prepared throughout the whole country. Made same soil. There's only 3 types of soil allowed to be used. They truck it around the country to make sure that they've got a New Zealand condition, and so that's one thing. Another thing, and the other one was there was the tour of South Africa, where we got absolutely destroyed in 2012. And Brendan McCullum, that started a conversation with him and Mike Hesson about how they do things differently. And in the next tour, the one to UAE with Pakistan, there was the Phil Hughes thing happened about that time. And after the game, the things I'd been talking about, Hesson and McCullum, they said, now's the chance, there's this break. And they had a conversation about, let's play like it's backyard. Let's have fun. Let's not take it too seriously. Let's just everyone express yourselves, play your natural game. And so you saw the result of that was just a completely different attitude to how they played. And the whole, instead of trying to play like Australians, they started trying to play like New Zealanders. And from that point on, we've developed our own way of playing, and it works for us. I mean, Australia are great because they've grown up playing Australian cricket, and that's how they play. But New Zealanders don't grow up in those conditions, and we shouldn't be trying to be Australians. We should try being us, and that's worked really well.